The structures in the above diagram are involved in the automatic control of breathing. Select label. The mammalian lungs contain no muscle, so they cannot move on their own. Breathing or ventilation of the lungs is brought about by the intercostal muscles of the ribs and the diaphragm. The breathing control centers in the medulla of the brain set a basic breathing rhythm that is modified according to the needs of the body. Move the cursor to the breathing control centers in the medulla and click when a hand appears. What happens? Answer: the breathing control center send impulses to the diaphragm and the rib muscles via the phrenic and thoracic nerve respectively. Each breath is initiated by neurons in the breathing control center. During inspiration, nerve impulses stimulate the contraction of the external intercostal muscle, which pulls the ribs up and outwards while the diaphragm flattens. The volume of the thorax increases, lowering the pressure below that of the atmosphere, so air is forced into the lungs. How do we expire? Answer: when the neurons in the breathing control center stop producing impulses, the rib muscle relaxes and expiration occurs. Expiration is largely a passive process. It does not require muscular contraction. Elastic recoil of the abdominal muscle, along with the weight of the rib cage, decreases the volume of the thorax. The pressure inside the lungs increases and air is forced out. The tidal volume is the volume of air breathed in and out of the lungs at rest. An average value of the tidal volume for an adult would be 0.5 liters. What are the partial pressure of oxygen and partial pressure of carbon dioxide of the blood at rest? Answer: 105 millimeter mercury and 40 millimeter mercury respectively. How many times do you breathe per minute? Answer: about 15 times to 20 times per minute. A proper rate and depth of breathing is required to maintain the blood oxygen and carbon dioxide level within the normal range. During exercise, the amount of carbon dioxide in the blood increases, resulting in the lowering of the blood pH. The change in pH is detected by chemoreceptors located along the blood vessels in the body. Select Breathing Control Center from the pull-down menu. What other structure lies near the breathing control centers? Answer: the central chemoreceptors. Move the cursor to the central chemoreceptors and click when a hand appears. The structure shows the medulla oblongata adjacent to the central chemoreceptors. Cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF, bathes the brain tissues. The brain receives a rich supply of blood from the capillaries. Click carbon dioxide to see what happens. What happens to the carbon dioxide? Answer: carbon dioxide in the capillary diffuses into the CSF. It reacts with water to form carbonic acid, which then dissociates to form hydrogen carbonate and hydrogen ions. The hydrogen ions decrease the pH of the CSF. Click hydrogen ion. What happens next? Answer. The chemosensitive neurons detect the increase of hydrogen ion concentration. The decrease in pH of CSF is detected by chemosensitive neurons, which then send impulses to the breathing control center. The breathing control center speeds up the rhythmic discharge of nerve impulses to the external intercostal muscle and the diaphragm, thus increasing the breathing rate. Click Close. From the pull-down menu, select Carotid Body. The carotid body is found in the carotid artery in the neck. Move the cursor to carotid artery and click when a hand appears. What is a carotid body? Answer. It is a chemoreceptor with nerve endings in the wall of the carotid artery. What does it detect? Answer. It detects the changes in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide or blood pH in the carotid artery. How does the blood pH change? Answer. When the partial pressure of carbon dioxide increases, carbon dioxide reacts with water to form carbonic acid, which in turn dissociates into hydrogen carbonate and hydrogen ions. Consequently, the blood pH will decrease. The opposite reaction occurs when the partial pressure of carbon dioxide decreases. What other structure is located in the carotid artery? Answer. Pressure receptors. Move the cursor to pressure receptor and click when a hand appears. The pressure receptors or baroreceptors detects the blood pressure, since an increase in heartbeats will affect breathing rate. Click Close. Next, select Aortic Body from the pull-down menu. Move the cursor to the aorta and click to see its detailed structure. The aortic body is found in the aorta. Like the carotid body, it is a chemoreceptor that detects the changes in the blood pH. The carotid body has nerve endings in the wall of the aorta. Aortic and carotid bodies together are called peripheral chemoreceptors. Click Close. Click Peripheral chemoreceptors. Note that nerve impulses from the carotid and aortic bodies are relayed to the breathing control centers. These nerves are the sensory neurons. Select Stretch Receptor from the pull-down menu. Stretch receptors are found in the lungs. As the lungs expand and relax during the breathing cycle, the stretch receptors are stimulated. Impulses are sent back to the breathing control center. Move the cursor to the stretch receptor and click when a hand appears. How does the breathing control center respond to the impulses from the stretch receptors? Answer. The center sends impulses via parasympathetic nerve, that is, the vagus nerve to the diaphragm, and the intercostal muscles to slow down the contraction. When the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles slow down their contraction, the breathing rate will be brought back to normal. Summary. Breathing control centers are located in two regions, the medulla oblongata and the pons. The control center in the medulla sets the basic rhythm, while A control center in the pons moderates it, smoothing out the transition between inhalation and exhalation. The breathing centers send their impulses to the diaphragm and the rib muscles. The central chemoreceptors lie near the breathing control centers. The receptors detect the changes in pH of the cerebrospinal fluid. Changes in pH of the CSF stimulate the breathing center to slow down or speed the rhythmic discharge of nerve impulses to the external intercostal muscle and the diaphragm. Carotid bodies are found in the carotid artery in the neck. It is a chemoreceptor with nerve endings in the wall of carotid artery. It monitors the changes of blood pH in the carotid artery. Aortic bodies are found in aorta. Like carotid bodies, they are chemoreceptors that monitor the changes of blood pH. They have nerve endings in the wall of aorta. Aortic and carotid bodies together are called peripheral chemoreceptors. The nerve impulses from the carotid and aortic bodies are relayed to the breathing control centers.